Can the Bengals offense get back on track? Hi again, everyone. I'm James Rapien with allbengals.com in Cincinnati Bengals talk. And I'm joined by a real life quarterback, a Cincinnati legend of sorts. In fact, his University of Cincinnati Bearcats, probably the best they've been since he was there. And he's old now. His name is Tony Pike. You can catch him every weekday on ESPN 1530 from noon to 2 on Cincy 360. And he's on with us now. T. Pike, my man, how are you?
What's going on? Happy to be here. Happy the Bearcats heading into what some are calling the biggest game in school history after a bye this weekend against Notre Dame, heading up to South Bend. So it's a good time here for Cincinnati sports.
Hopefully they can stick it to your former coach, because I know a lot of us in 2010 run happy about his decision, even though it was probably the right one. But, this is go ahead.
He's getting ready to become Notre Dame's all-time winningest head coach. So probably right decision, but still would be nice to go up there and throw a little jab back.
All I know is he gave up on you. I'm not going to do that. But let's talk about another coach, because Zac Taylor is someone that's taken a lot of criticism from myself, from you over the past couple of seasons.
Yep.
They're 1-1 going into this week's matchup against Pittsburgh. And the one thing I think Zac can't have is what's happened over the first couple of games. And I don't mean necessarily wins and losses, because it goes without saying. But they scored 27 points against the Vikings, and that's basically in 5 quarters.
Yep.
Then they flip it around and outside of the last 5 minutes, score 3 points on the road against Chicago. The offense was supposed to be the strength of this team. Why are they off to a sluggish, slow, and flat out underperforming and underwhelming start?
It has to be circled back to Zac Taylor. And look, the first caveat here is for the first time in a while, there's no injury concerns for this team, right? I mean, this is as healthy as this team has been. It's healthy as they're going to be. They have everyone available at wide receiver. They have their linemen available. They have the tight end, Joe Mixon, Frank Pollock's back. Everything that we heard in the offseason as to why this offense was going to be more explosive is there. And then you look at the Rams-Bears week 1 matchup, and I say, okay, if Zac Taylor is this Sean McVay understudy, then surely they're going to go up against the Rams and be able to utilize the same thing the Rams did, which was push the ball down the field. And then I hear in postgame, well, they dictated us to not throw the ball down the field. They dictated and took things away. My question to anyone listening would be, do you think teams try to dictate not letting the Chiefs throw the ball down the field? Do you think teams dictate not letting Travis Kelce get touches? They do, but the scheme outweighs what the defense is doing. And look, for 2 games, and now people say don't overreact. It's been 2 games in 2 years now. I've asked the same question. Why does things feel so tough for the Bengals offensively? They don't catch the ball and have 10 yards of separation. They catch the ball, and there's immediately a defender there to make a tackle. So they have the weapons. They have the skill guys. They have the quarterback. They have the running back that they gave $48 million to. My question is, do they have the guy calling plays? And look no further than 2016 at the University of Cincinnati when the Bearcats went 11 quarters without scoring a touchdown in the American Athletic Conference. They weren't great calling plays then, and I don't feel like they've been great calling plays to this point.
Yeah, it's shocking to me. I mean, Zac got his guys, has his guys in there, right? Jamar Chase, someone he wanted. It's not like this is a John Ross situation where the front office went one way and the head coach wanted another. I think everybody was on the same page with a guy like Jamar. Okay, so we know it's an issue. That goes without saying. How do they get those guys in space? Jamar is so great after the catch. We know what Joe Mixon brings. T. Higgins, as we record this, it's Thursday morning. We'll see if he plays this week, but we know he's a game changer when he's on the field. How can Zac, and not even just Zac Taylor, but offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, in your opinion, get this thing rolling and moving in the right direction? Because they need to do it right now if they're going to have a chance to beat Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Well, let's be honest. The answer from Zac Taylor of we're not counting quarterback hits, we're just counting the sacks is ridiculous to me, right? The ball that T. Higgins fumbled, Joe Burrow's an inch or two away from hitting his elbow on a helmet because there's so much pressure in his face. QB hits matter. And the amount of hits that Joe Burrow has taken matter. So move the pocket. Let's utilize play action more. Let's spread the defense out. Let's get creative. Let's run some jet sweeps. Let's make the defense play side to side. It's so easy to defend this team right now. You look at the 4th down call to T. Higgins. How many times in the NFL, when teams are in 3rd and short and 4th and short, do we see crossing routes? Because it's so hard for man-to-man coverage. What do we run? A hitch at the sticks to T. Higgins. The defense isn't going to back up. There's no threat of going deep.
And you know who else ran that? The Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football on 4th down with Jared Goff to, I think it was Quentin Cephas or something.
And they
you do not want to be like Detroit.
Yeah. And they got crushed. And then I go back to the 2nd interception for Joe Burrow, the T. Higgins comeback route. If T. Higgins were to just run a go on that play, he would be open by 10 yards because the Chicago Bears defender didn't even get out of his movement. He didn't even backpedal. They are sitting on every short route. And then when the game's out of hand, we see a deep ball to Jamar Chase. The deep ball before, Jamar Chase was open by 7 yards. Joe Burrow just missed him because the defense is sitting on everything short. So if you want to get the quick game going, if you want to get the run game going, you better at least show that you can throw the ball down the field, because then, like the Bears did, you have to adjust, and then some stuff happens underneath for you. But the fact that they've come out and essentially said, we're not going to throw the ball 15-plus yards down the field with their weapons and their skill set is unbelievable to me. I mean, look at the Sunday Night Football game, the game of the week in the NFL. You look at Kansas City, they were doubling Tyreek Hill, so they used Tyreek Hill as a decoy on some plays. You're telling me that Boyd, Higgins, and Chase can't run some type of combinations that's going to pull defenders out and clear open a zone area for one of these 3 receivers? To me, it comes back to scheme, and to me, it comes back to Zac Taylor having to be better early of getting Joe Burrow comfortable with some easy completions and pushing the ball down the field.
Make sure you follow Tony on Twitter at Tony_Pike15. All right, let's go from you and get your quarterback perspective on the quarterback, QB1, Joe Burrow. He's played 2 games now, post ACL, post that devastating, awful knee injury. How has he looked in general? Because I do think that at least my opinion, he doesn't look like the same guy, and that is expected. But how do you think he's played over the first 2 weeks?
Well, let's go to the caveat here that this is the same quarterback that went into last year without any type of offseason or preseason. So he went into this year not really getting an opportunity in the preseason. He played the 1 series. He just looks like a guy that's coming off a major knee injury to me. And he looks like a guy that can't get comfortable because he's under constant pressure. And if you want to look at the best in the game, they're not under constant pressure. Patrick Mahomes can ad-lib, but the Tom Brady's and the Aaron Rodgers, they're not under pressure constantly. They're able to get comfortable in a game. He feels like a guy to me that hasn't been able to get comfortable. The interception for a touchdown, that's a great play by the Bears defense. I think he was handcuffed on the 2nd interception by the route. And then the 3rd thing is just a fluke. Your arm's getting hit. The ball gets put in the air. But I think there's a little frustration there. And I think when you listen to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase post-game, I think there's frustration that this offense wants to be more explosive. And it was almost to a point where I'm wondering, is Joe Burrow 100% healthy? Is Joe Burrow on a pitch count? Because that's how the plays have been called, right? It was great. Week 1, 27 passes, 30 touches for Mixon, great balance. But that was because Mixon was having success. And then you look at the Bears game, and they keep trying to push Mixon, and they keep trying to push Samaje Perine. It just wasn't there. And you have to be able to take what the defense gives you. It's one of 2 things. Zac Taylor is not trusting his offensive line, and rightfully so, and trying to protect Joe Burrow, or Joe Burrow's on some sort of pitch count based on how the game's been called. And I think what you're seeing from Joe Burrow now is this, hey, just let me go. Let me go play. Let me push the ball down the field. Let this offense be explosive as it should.
I agree with you. And let me ask you about the offensive line before we switch gears and talk about the defense, because, the offensive line is going to take a beating nationally. And, the Jackson Carman, or not the Jackson Carman's part of it, but the Penei Sewell thing still getting brought up, even though Jamar Chase has set a Bengals record, might set another Bengals record this weekend if he scores a touchdown against the Steelers. So I think the pick was fine. But yeah, there are concerns about the offensive line. So how do you think they've played overall, and how concerned will you be if Jackson Carman's first NFL start is on the road in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
against the Steelers if Xavier Su'a-Filo can't go because of a knee injury?
Well, let's keep it very simple. There are two truths for this. Jamar Chase was the right pick. That's a truth. You look what he's done. You look what he brings to this offense. And the other truth is that the Bengals didn't do enough on the offensive line in the offseason. Let's be honest. If you would have finished last season and said, hey, going into next year, Quentin Spain and Xavier Su'a-Filo are going to be the guards, we would have had a massive panic attack. But we were sold on that in the offseason, frankly, because Frank Pollock was coming back, right? Frank Pollock's going to make everyone better. Meanwhile, we sat by in the offseason and we had all this Joe Thuney conversation. And then Joe Thuney went to Kansas City, and what did we do? Well, we could have never paid him that much money. That's a good move to move. Well, was it? Because Kansas City found a way by giving their quarterback $500 million to still pay Joe Thuney to come protect their quarterback. So Joe Thuney was too expensive. And then I know you put out multiple pieces on offensive linemen still available. Yeah. And we would go through and say, well, this guy's still out there. This guy, that's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. And we waited, and the Bengals didn't do anything. And then we said, what was the next? Well, they're not going to give that money because they're getting a Jesse Bates extension done. Mm-hmm. But they didn't do that either. So I'm watching the quarterback of the future, the franchise, who was carted off last year, being on a pace to be sacked 70-plus times this year. I wonder what's going through the mind of Duke Tobin and this organization, because they didn't address it in the offseason. They addressed it with Riley Reif. They addressed it with a center coming back from a knee surgery. They didn't do anything at guard. And they have Jonah Williams at left tackle. And it's not been good enough to this point. And it goes to show that the old adage that you get what you pay for is coming true for this Bengals team right now. And look, it's panic mode. You've got to find a way to shore this up, because Joe Burrow cannot be on pace to get sacked 70-plus times in a season.
Yeah, and in 9 sacks in 2 weeks, the second most in the NFL. It's just been brutal. It has. And, you know, we'll see if they can fix it. I don't think Jackson Carman's necessarily the answer on the road, but I do think he's more athletic than Xavier Su'a-Filo. Yeah. So we'll see there. Let's switch gears. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll switch gears. Let's talk about the defense, because I think we were both impressed when we were at training camp of the way the defense looked. Yep. That has translated, a lot of it at least, has translated to the regular season. What do you think about Lou Anarumo's crew? Because, gosh, if you would have told me that the defense was outperforming the offense in games that matter, I would have laughed at you a few months ago, but that's clearly the case.
Well, the defense dominated the offense all throughout camp, and we kind of had that, well, the defense is supposed to be ahead of the offense at this time. Well, not exactly. You know, this is what the defense did all camp. They haven't done it with Trey Waynes yet, and I think when Trey Waynes comes back, that's going to be a huge boost. I can say Logan Wilson is a bona fide star. He's going to be great for this team, because that was a question, right? What's happening at the linebacker core, because they addressed it last year in the draft, but not really this year. I've been happy with the linebacker play. And look, the depth on the defensive line and the interior part of the defensive line, you've done a phenomenal job against David Montgomery and Dalvin Cook. Not a lot of defenses can say that in the NFL. They've made things uneasy on the opposing quarterback as well. Now, can they finish plays? The fumble that Justin Fields falls back on somehow. Trey Hendrickson misses the tackle on 3rd and long when the game's on the line against Justin Fields. Absolutely. But for years, we've been haunted by missed tackles, gashed in the running game. That's been better. They've pressured the quarterback more. I'm very happy with where this defense has been. And if you look ahead now, James, there's an article in the Post-Gazette today I'm going to talk about on Cincy 360 where Pittsburgh beat writers are saying that the Bengals offensive line is better right now than the Pittsburgh offensive line. And if that's the case, this defensive front should go in there Sunday and have a field day.
Man, yeah, they need to, because that might be how they have to win games until Zach can figure out this offense. And it's kind of crazy that we're in this spot considering all of the premium picks. Think about it. The first overall pick in Burrow, 5th pick, Chase, 2nd rounder in Higgins, Boyd with a huge extension.
Jonah
He was
Williams.
a second rounder. Jonah Williams. Right. So it's certainly going to be interesting to watch. All right, Tony. Make sure you check out Tony on Cincy 360 on ESPN 1530 every weekday, noon to 2, and follow him on Twitter at Tony_Pike15. Before I let you go, do you have a prediction for Sunday? And why are you leaning the way you're leaning?
Because this game is in Pittsburgh, I lean towards Pittsburgh close. But I was honestly talking before we came on here today. This feels like a week where things are going to blow up for Pittsburgh and things are going to start unraveling. Or it feels like a week, James, where Pittsburgh gets right and Najee Harris starts to have some success and Ben Roethlisberger finds some success down the field. I hope it's the earlier, and I hope this team does struggle. I think it's fascinating that on that list that Zac Taylor is leading for coaching candidates to be fired. I think it's absurd that Mike Tomlin's even on that list because of the job he's done at Pittsburgh and what this team didn't address in the offseason. I feel like this is like a first 1 to 24, to be honest. Wow. First team to get 24. I think both defenses shine. If TJ Watt can play, that certainly is a boost for Pittsburgh. I honestly think Pittsburgh sneaks this by because of it being in Pittsburgh 24-21 or something like that.
All right. Yeah. I mean, if it's first 1 to 24, the Bengals, after everything they've invested, like Zac Taylor should be able to go get that.
Yes,
really should.
Absolutely.
So the Bengals will win if they score 24 or more.
Yeah.
I like it. I by the way, I expected them to average like 28 to 30 a game this year.
Yes.
And they haven't gotten close to that. So offensive line be damned. They should be putting up points.
Look around the NFL week to week at the teams winning and how they're winning. 28, 33, 38, 40. You've got to score points in the NFL to win. There's only so much your defense can do. It's time. Like I said, it's not an overreaction from 2 games. This is 2 years and 2 games.
Yep.
It's time to start scoring points and showing that you can do that by out-scheming an opponent, because on paper, skill for skill, these rosters aren't a huge disparity. Offensively, especially, the Bengals should have an advantage offensively. This is a game where coaching matters and schemes matter, and we'll see what Zac Taylor can do on the road in Pittsburgh.
Make sure you catch Tony for all of the post-game reaction on Monday, 12 to 2 on Cincy 360. We'll have you covered here as well on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So hit that subscribe button. Tony, I appreciate the time as always.
Anytime, buddy. Thank you.